Hello Brawlhalla fans, and welcome to the second in a series of guides designed to help you climb the ladder in Brawlhalla's ranked 1v1. There's a lot to learn if you're new to Brawlhalla, and even more if you're new to fighting games, so these guides are designed to highlight key areas players in each bracket struggle with in their quest to improve their game. Feel free to watch all the guides in this series to get an idea of what new tactics you'll be seeing as you rank up, but for now, let's talk about how to rank up from silver to gold. In this video, we'll be covering topics such as applying pressure, matchups, gadget use, item respawns, and more, so let's get started and get you all to gold. So before we dive into all of the content in this guide, I want to talk about some of the common problems I see in silver level play. Silver players typically suffer from a few key things. The first is indecision. Whether this is because of a lack of comfort on their character or just because they haven't clocked up enough game experience, a lot of times when I watch silver players play, they're in situations where they could attack or where they could punish and they just don't pick the right move and they don't do anything. They want to reset the position and go back to neutral or in the air or on the ledge or someplace where they feel more comfortable. And this indecision ends up having a pretty deep impact on their gameplay because you want to be able to make the right choice for the situation that you're in, not change your situation so you can go and make a choice that you're comfortable with. We're going to go over some of the options to improve this in this guide. Another thing that I see that goes on with silver players is a lack of follow-ups and aggression. When you have the advantage, you need to learn to press it. If you knock somebody off the edge, don't stand on the other side of the map extending a kind hand and saying, "By all means, sir, please come back to the arena that we may fight on equal terms." That's not what this is all about. If you get an advantage and you have the momentum of the match, you want to make sure that you're pressing that advantage as much as you can. Finally, one of the last things I see a lot of confusion over is based on move priorities and the knowledge of matchups against other characters and weapons. For example, in recent patches, there were a lot of complaints about Lance characters. Many people who are in silver and who are newer to the game tend to complain about Lances because they're just so different from every other weapon that they've seen in other types of fighting games, and because its properties are particularly unique compared to all the rest of the weapons, even just in Brawlhalla. The answer to this is to play what you're losing against. If you're having trouble against the Lance, try out a Lance character for a while so that you can better learn and discover its weaknesses. If you're having trouble against guns, do the same thing. It's better for you to spend a good 10 to 20 games learning what's beating you than it is to just constantly bang your head against the ladder in frustration because you just can't figure out why Lances are so overpowered. Those are some of the key things that I see silver players suffer with, and getting over these hurdles isn't hard, and it really helps once you identify it so that you can move forward and start to improve your game. With all that being said, let's get to the rest of the guide. First off, we're going to talk about knowing your Legend's entire moveset. It's really important to learn your Legend's entire moveset and not just rely on the same attacks over and over again. The reasons for this is twofold. First, using the same attack over and over again makes you predictable. When you're predictable, the other guy is going to know what you're going to do and punish you accordingly. Secondly, you want to use the best move for every situation that you're in. If you are just constantly relying on side airs or standing neutrals, you're going to miss opportunities where a downlight or some other wonderful move that you have at your disposal is available to you. Every move has a different hitbox, damage, and a specific scenario in which it shines. You want to ensure that you're using the right move in the right situation and not miss opportunities for damage because of choosing the wrong move. Additionally, taking your opponent by surprise is incredibly valuable, and too often silver players rely on using the same move over and over, which makes them really predictable and easy to punish. Now, an easy way to think about this is in move selection. Let's take the scenario where you are stacked up directly on a character with a spear. If you choose the wrong move, you are going to miss. You need to know that in this situation, down light or an appropriate signature is the correct move. Think about this as if you are selecting the right move for the right situation. The reason all of this is important, and I'll say it again, is because silver players often whiff moves for no good reason other than that they were out of position or selected the wrong move for the situation. Get comfortable with your entire moveset and you will begin playing better across the board. Next, we're going to talk about intermediate use of heavy and signature moves. Heavy attacks on the ground are your main method for punishing, and you should be actively looking for opportunities to use your heavy moves to respond to a mistake by your opponent. Instead of using these signature moves randomly, hoping your opponent will be caught by one of them, you need to start using them consciously as a response to your opponent. The best punishes are often against whiffed signatures or quick attacks, bad spacing, predictable dodging, and other scenarios. In addition to this, most signatures are uniquely designed to punish a few different scenarios. The first is the anti-air or anti-dive kicks and jump-ins signature. Secondly, you have signatures designed to punish bad spacing with moves that move you forward or have a long hitbox. And finally, you have signature moves that punish close-range dodges that often hit around your character in a way that covers your entire hurt box. Get used to what signatures your legend has available to you and use the right one in response to what your opponent is doing incorrectly. Another way to think about signatures is as space control. Vrax is a very good example of this, as his gun signatures control a great amount of space around him if he is approached improperly. If you start to think about your signature moves as extensions of your ability to control space, you can start using them in safe scenarios to prevent the other player from entering that space at all. This will force your opponent to approach you differently in a way that isn't comfortable for them, and will cause them to be more likely to make mistakes you can then exploit with good punishes. Using a combination of these two techniques is often the best way to think about using your signatures. They all generally have pretty slow startup time, but do a great amount of damage and force when they land. So if you can start thinking about your heavy attacks as a way to punish the mistakes of your opponent, you will quickly rise up through the ranks, and you'll also start having a lot more fun. In this next section, we're going to be going over some more details with Unarmed. Now, if you've watched the last Bronze to Silver video, you'll know that the slide kick into neutral air is something that you should be doing constantly and all the time. However, there are a few other unarmed things that you should know about, the first of which is the dive kick. Now, the dive kick is interesting because it has really good priority. It's useful for pushing your opponent in a certain direction, and it's got that good fast movement that's going to bring you down towards the screen faster than, your floaty jump will. However, the problem is that the dive kick is really punishable. So on one side, you want to be using this move in the right situation, but if your opponent likes to dive kick constantly, look for opportunities in which you can punish the dive kick. Next up, you should be familiar with this, is the slide kick. It is still your wonderful combo starter, and you can combo it into all sorts of goodness. You want to get comfortable with this move and try tying it in different parts of your gameplay and how you use Unarmed. Next is the uppercut, which is this move right here. This move ends up being very useful for things like getting around the map, adding into your recovery game, and at lower levels of health, it has really good force. Now, the thing that you want to do with all of this Unarmed is start kind of practicing how you can loop unarmed combos into each other and get to a good flow. High-level players are very good at just being able to keep on top of their opponent and continue using Unarmed. The big thing that all the unarmed moves have over different weapons is that all of the moves come out pretty quickly. So practicing these and getting used to having a good flow with Unarmed is just going to help you be more confident when you're in those situations in your games when you don't have a weapon available to you. So go ahead, hit up the training room, get comfortable with some of these constant jumping and killing techniques that are available to you in Unarmed, and go out and win more games. Let's talk a little bit about how move priority works in Brawlhalla. Move priority is entirely based on hitbox location versus hurtbox location. Basically what this means is that there's about 90% consistency when it comes to what moves beat other moves. However, this is entirely dependent on spacing, speed, and whose hitbox gets to the other guy's hurtbox first. This is why some moves seem to be randomly beat at times. It's because the other guy had perfect positioning and timing, and your move that normally wins in that situation loses. For example, although there is a high level of consistency for spear, down, air, heavy attacks winning in most situations, it can be uppercutted right through the middle, if the positioning is perfect. Additionally, you can hit around the edge of a sword down heavy with a sword recovery, but you kinda need to be coming at it from an angle. For the most part, if a move is faster, has a bigger hitbox, and protects you, and gets there first, it's going to win. The only exception to this is that as of 1.11, strength is used as a tiebreaker to decide if two identical moves collide at the same time. To take all of this and use it, you should get to know the moves of your main legend, especially their signature moves, which often have different hitboxes that allow them to beat other standard attacks if used correctly. Approaching or getting in on your enemy is not the easiest thing to understand or explain, so I'm going to try to break it down in as simple terms as possible with incredibly slow motion examples. Essentially, you can do one of 5 things. 1. You can approach while attacking. If you cover your approach with an attack, such as moving forward while throwing out side airs or walking forward and putting in forward quick attacks, you can catch out your opponent. 2. Approach and dodge through their expected attack. If your opponent is attacking you each time you jump in, or each time that you try to attack and move in, dodge through their attack so that you can counterattack. 3. Cover your approach with an item toss of some kind. If you're having trouble getting in, you can always use a weapon or gadget to cover your approach and then follow up afterwards. 4. You can jump in, walk in, and wait for them to dodge in response to you, and then attack. 5, and finally, you also have the option not to approach and let them come to you. Sometimes, this is the best option. Approaching isn't as clear in Brawlhalla as in other 2D fighters, and it is still being balanced and tweaked in closed beta when this guide was made. Additionally, each weapon has different ways to get past it and different angles that are safer than others, and all of that knowledge just boils down to better understanding of matchups. You can expect a more in-depth guide on this topic in the future, but for now, let's move on. Players in Silver too often don't press their advantages when they can stick to their opponent for more damage or even knockouts. Applying pressure and staying on top of people is how you can take control of a match, keep your advantage, and not let your opponent get any breathing room. The way this works happens a few different ways. If you knock your opponent into the air, or if he's jumping over you, you juggle him. If you're on a fast character with a good air game, you can keep people airborne for ages, frustrate the crap out of them, and win the match. The goal in this situation is to never let them touch the ground. For edgeguarding is basically when you stand on the edge of the stage and attempt to keep the other guy from getting back up to neutral ground. Signatures are very useful here in addition to pointing out dodges, attacks, and other things so that you can keep them on the edge. Edge chasing is what I like to call when you get all super alpha and chase people off the edge to secure a knockout. Occasionally risky against hammers, but oh so worth it when you can secure a knockout from being ultra aggressive. Finally, we have item throws for pressure. One of my personal favorites is to throw items at people so they don't have a chance to pick up weapons or generally move to where they're trying to go. This is a good tactic to employ when your opponent is trying to recover from being juggled or edge guarded and you're too far away for another kind of follow-up. Alright, we're going to be talking about item respawn mechanics next. Now, we're going to be using King's Pass for this demonstration. The main thing that I want to emphasize is that there is a hard limit on the number of items that can be present on the map at any given time, and this hard limit is 4. If there are 4 items on the map, another one will not spawn until the 4th item has been removed from play by a player, or it disappears on its own despawn time. Now you can see that the items do spawn randomly around the map, and to some extent they do try to spread themselves out. However, there are often situations in which many of these items will appear on the same side of the map, which is how you can employ map control. However, if there is only one item on the map and your opponent is camping it, it might be in your best interest to just stave off a moment until you can get an item drop of your own. Remember, with a maximum of 4, that means that anytime there are less than 4 items on the screen, you will be able to have a new spawn that you can go for without having to deal with your opponent's map control. I've made a whole video on punishing, which you can watch at the link overlaid below, but for now let's instead talk about what punishing is and why learning to punish is important. As opposed to other types of attacks, a punish is an attack that is performed because your opponent has a large moment of vulnerability due to one of the following. They dodged incorrectly, allowing you to follow up easily. They attacked with the wrong move, giving you time to follow up while their move animation is ending, or they perform some kind of unsafe or predictable action like picking up a weapon or moving towards a gadget. I would encourage you heavily to go and take a look at the full-on punishing guide that I have made, as this is a crucial part of your skill set to have as you rank up. Gadgets are a core part of Brawlhalla, and they are not going to go away. get used to using them to your advantage and mix them into your normal weaponized gameplay. There are many advanced ways for using gadgets. Covering the air approach option with a soft diagonal toss is one, while holding on to a gadget and waiting for the opponent to dodge so you can guarantee a hit is another. You can also use them while edge guarding and in dozens of other scenarios. The setups and uses for gadgets are as limitless as your creativity, so experiment and get used to using them to the best of your abilities. Not only do they have great force properties if using one of the explosive mines or bombs, but the spike ball does a great amount of damage compared to normal weapon throws. So get used to using gadgets and use them to the best of your ability. I'd like to close out this guide with a few final thoughts. One of the most important things that you could be doing in Silver and at any level of gameplay in Brawlhalla is to always be learning. If you have a great victory, try to look back and think about what it was your opponent was doing that made the win so easy. And if you get totally bodied and wrecked in a match, don't get upset, don't go on tilt, don't get salty, but think about your mistakes and try to analyze your play. If you're looking at your play analytically instead of emotionally, you can create an opportunity to learn. If you're always learning from your mistakes or from the mistakes of your opponent, you will always be improving. This mindset is difficult to get into, and it's something that even I have challenges with. But if you can consciously remind yourself to go out and learn from your mistakes, you will improve that much faster. Secondly, if you're in Silver and you've been there for a while, chances are you might not be having that much fun with the game anymore. If that's the case, maybe take a break from the queue for a while. There are more ways to enjoy Brawlhalla than just playing the ranked 1v1 ladder. You can always hop on Twitch TV and check out all of the people who are streaming where they play custom games, and you can hop in and learn from players who are better than you. You can hop in and play some of the Brawl Ball matches and some of the other cool things that Brawlhalla has to offer. But if you are getting really frustrated in ranked 1v1, I would implore you to take a break, because you're not going to be able to learn or perform well when you're feeling all salty or being on tilt. As far as some final thoughts on Silver, Silver is just another stepping stone on the way to Diamond. Everybody has a pit stop in Silver, no matter how good they are when they first start playing the game. It's actually almost impossible to get ranked directly into Gold just from your 5 placement matches. So everybody hangs out in Silver for a while. As such, it is one of the areas where the skill levels vary wildly, and some people who even climb up to Gold do drop back down afterwards. So if you're stuck in Silver, just try to take to heart the advice given out in this guide and always be learning. If you can learn from your mistakes, you will start to improve and you will climb up. With all of that being said, I hope that this guide was incredibly helpful to you, and I apologize for how incredibly long it took for me to make this. If you did find it helpful, please let me know in the comments below, and if there is some topic that I missed or something else that you're interested in about Brawlhalla, please let me know in the comments. In the future, I'm going to be working on smaller, more specific, easier and faster to create guides about character matchups, weapon sets, and all sorts of other things, so please stay tuned to those. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to please hit the like button, as it helps out a great deal, and I will see you out there in the ranked 1v1 queue.